Look at that lamb. My goodness. How gorgeous. Y'all want some sweet feed? I thought you might. Hazel, what are you doing in the trough? Imagine trying to find that in the brown dirt and brown leaves. But I did find it. This morning we're out in the timbered part of our property setting up a temporary fence. What we're trying to do is we've got about 33 acres here of mostly woods, and we need to begin opening up some of this for new pasture. And this bottom land down here that's next to our 10-acre field is pretty much loaded up with cedar and a lot of brush, underbrush. And actually sheep are kind of like deer in the sense that they like to browse a little bit through the woods and pick off leaves of different bushes and stuff. Somewhere between a goat and a cow. They're not quite as favorable to the brushy stuff as a goat is, and they won't eat a tin can like a goat. I'm just kidding, but they will almost eat a tin can. But they're somewhere in the middle. They do like to browse. So we're going to utilize that aspect of the sheep and let them work for us as we section off. I think it's about 6 acres here that we're sectioning off, and that'll actually give them, somewhere we can put them here in the late part of winter, early spring, until the pastures really come in good. And we'll also put the donkeys in here, and the donkeys will help kind of stomp down some of this stuff and make it easier for us to come in and start thinning out some of these junk trees. So we're just repurposing some of the fence that we were using last summer when we were struggling with keeping the sheep in the paddock. Ultimately, we ended up fixing our problem with the electric fencing by getting a charger that had enough pop to it to get their attention. I'll probably get questions, so I might as well point out that the white tape that I've webbed through the fence here is for the benefit of the deer. The deer have been running on this property unabated for probably 50 years. And so, once they get used to where a fence is, it's no problem. They can clear this fence. It won't be any problem. They can jump it. Even the little ones will be able to do that. And I won't put a barbed wire across the top of this. There's no need for that. So nothing for them to get hung up in. But this is brand new. They won't be expecting this. So I invested in a $4 roll of tape like they use for surveying. And I just webbed it through the fence here all the way from the other end, and we'll take it all the way up to as far as we're going to run this fence. And hopefully they'll see that, and it'll get their attention that, hey, there's something new here, and they need to take a look at it. As soon as they see that it's a fence, they'll be okay. They'll just jump over it if they want to. But this will keep them from running into it and hurting themselves or knocking the fence down and tearing stuff up. It's amazing how much damage deer can do to fencing when they're running wide open. If something spooks them, if they're being chased by a coyote, or actually we're beginning to have mountain lions out here, they can run really fast, and 150 to 250 pound deer plowing into a fence can actually do some damage, and it can really hurt them. So I don't want to do that. I love the deer, and want to cohabitat the place with them. So we're going to borrow a little bit of the woods, and we just want to notify them, let them know, hey, there's a new fence here, so don't hurt yourself. This fence is really not all that old, and we bought it really as a countermeasure to some things that weren't working so well at the time, and we've solved that problem. We're repurposing this fence, and that's a critical thing to be able to do with any kind of resources that you have on the farm, or really anywhere. So now we've got our first strand put up down through there, and we're ready for the second strand. These fences come with, show you this real quick. There's a little clip here. They call it a gripple. The other end of the wire will plug into this gripple, and then when you pull back on it, it grabs, and it connects the two fences together into one. So fortunately, this other roll is rolled up exactly right, so that I've got the right end to start with, which I was a little concerned about. gripples are working as expected. All right, all but the top one. And I think because I got the key stuck in here, it's not letting it go in. Just tie that around maybe. That'll work. All right, don't have to be perfect. All right, now move the four-wheeler and we can roll this out. So one might ask, with all this kind of junky trees in here, why not just bulldoze it instead of having the sheep work it over? And the short answer is I don't want to, if I can help it. I don't want to bulldoze the ground and tear it up. I know there'll be a lot of stumps. I've got a plan or a thought on how I might go through and pick those out where needed. But I just want to avoid a destructive process if I can. It may be too much, and it may be one of those things where it proves to be the best option, but I want to try a different approach first. We want to, again, conserve and pull out as much value as we can, and I want to keep the land as healthy as I can. There's a lot of good topsoil in here, and I don't want to tear it up. So this is the path that we're taking. We'll see how well it works. So for anybody that's concerned about the fact that I'm nailing this fence to trees, again, most of the trees in this section are going to be removed, and this fence is temporary. So all of the trees that I'm using as sort of makeshift posts are going to actually become, later when this fence is taken up, I'll cut those posts, those trees, and I'll either make posts out of them or they'll become firewood. And I'll take them down when I take the fence down, so I'll know where the steeples are to avoid getting the chainsaw into them. So nothing's going to be left over time to grow into the tree and become a problem later on. So again, this is all semi-permanent, mostly temporary. I'm just saving a little money on post here. We'll have to go back in some of these long sections in between the trees and pop in some T-posts. Not good. Never to find that again. I dropped my pen that goes in this block. I'll be lucky to ever find it. Found it. I didn't think I would find that. Imagine trying to find that in the brown dirt and brown leaves. But I did find it. So what I'm doing there, in case you're not picking up on it, I put that stick through the fence, tie my chain to it, and then pull it with a four-wheeler, and I gun it to get it as tight as I can. And while I've got it gunned, hit the brake and set the parking brake so it won't roll back. Keep as much tension on the fence as I can until I get it fastened. Well, we've got our temporary fence put up through the woods finished. Been working on it the last several weekends and evenings. And so this is about almost 1,000 feet from our northerly neighbor. back to, goes right up to the edge of our yard. And then we're going to take the turn from there at the end and go down to the barn with some netting to box in that side of it. And then down here we've got the poly wire and the poly rope as our cross fence. So we've got the 3 reels. The 2 bottom wires are poly wire. The top one is poly rope. See if I can turn that around where y'all can see down that way. So that goes through the woods, cross section to our fence that we just put up, over to our field where they normally graze. You can see the sunlight hitting the field over there late in the day. So this is going to give them a, well, I haven't measured it out yet. I'm going to guess probably a 2 acre lot here that we can put them in. They'll get some browse out of this. They'll find some grass and some ground victuals to eat, and they'll thin this out a little bit for us where it'll be easier to take down some of this junk trees. But the main purpose of this section is to be a clean barn lot for them. So this is off the north side of the barn. The barn lot that they have is off the south side of the barn. So tomorrow we'll let them into here. We'll open up the other side of the barn, let them come through, and then close the south gate of the barn and lock them out of the old barn lot, which is pretty nasty. They've been there much of the winter because we had so little winter stockpile of pasture. So this will give them a clean ground to get onto for a while as we're waiting for the rest of the grass to come in this spring, and still be close to the barn, still be able to get to the barn if they want to, and close to the house where I can keep an eye on them and make sure everybody's okay on a regular basis. So again, this fence goes all the way down. It makes a little chicane up here toward where the new barn's going to be, which I hadn't told y'all about yet. But then it goes back straight again. All told, it's about just a little under 1,000 feet. So this box is in 6 acres this way, and we're boxing in about 1.5 to 2 right over here for them to have back over toward the barn. And as you can see, a lot of these trees are just small, very, very small. Some of them are dead. Lots of little cedar. I've had several timber companies come out here and look at it. They're just not interested in it. A lot of these will come out pretty easy, and some of them we'll probably keep, and we'll make posts out of a bunch of them. But this will eventually be a pretty nice little dry lot, or not a dry lot, but a barn lot for them. And then same thing down here. This will eventually all be pasture. And I don't know if I mentioned earlier, all of this lower section right here that we've just fenced in, it's all woods, 50 years ago was pasture, just like that pasture over there is. There's even a pond down here that's just inside the fence that we just put up. And this used to be a dairy farm years ago. All of this land that's been cut up and sold off to different places and house sites, and some farms, many farms. All of it was one big dairy farm 50 to 100 years ago. And so this was pasture at one time. This also burned in 1980. So as I've gone out here and done some work, there's still trees standing that have the charred charcoal still on the trees, some laying on the ground that haven't rotted yet. So you can see where the fire came through, and there's a ditch over there that they cut with a bulldozer trying to do a fire break for it. But it burned from Highway 431 all the way over to 231. How long ago has that been? 43 years ago. So here's where we're coming out of the woods. Corner is behind me, and then we got the netting. If I can turn this right, got the netting. It runs down the side of the yard here back to the barn. And I got a new hay bale over here for them with the tin roof and the cattle panel around the hay, so it's ready to go for them. They'll have a nice little lot right here, some shade under this beautiful, I love this cedar tree. And you can see over there in the edge of the woods, there's already starting to grow some grass over there. There's some nice grass here on the edge of the yard. They'll have access to all that. Got their hay bale, and it's still home. They're really comfortable back here around the barn. They like to be here in the evening. If I leave the gates open just after sunset, they'll always make their way back here. They like to spend the night here, and I like for them to spend the night here. We have a lot of coyotes in the area, and it just makes me sleep better knowing that I can look out the window and see that they're there, and if there's any commotion, I'll probably hear it and be able to tend to it. Hey Val, how you doing, baby? Y'all want a little sweet feed? I know you want a bottle. Y'all want some sweet feed? I thought you might. Well, let's go in there and check on Coco's babies, and then we'll see about getting y'all some feed. This morning, Coco had twins, and they were girls, so we were happy about that. That brings our total to 25. 14 are rams and 11 ewes. And if y'all recall, if y'all been tracking, the boys jumped out to a huge lead. They were up 14-3, I think, at one time. There they are. How y'all doing? How you doing, baby? Yeah. Look how pretty that. Oh man, she's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Coco, you make pretty babies. Yes, you do. Can we let everybody in here and give them some sweet feed? We need to get y'all to a safe place so they don't tromp y'all to death when they come in. Yeah. Look at that lamb. My goodness. How gorgeous. That's the thing about Katahdins. They are not bred for their color. They could just be any color you could imagine. A lot of breeds their color and their patterns are bred into them, but not with the Katahdins. So you just never know what you're gonna get. It's just, I'm gonna get your bottle, baby. Never know what you're gonna get in terms of color, and some of them are just amazing. Not that the white ones aren't pretty too. You're pretty too, baby. Just a different kind of pretty. Love when them tails are wagging. That's good news. All right, I'm gonna get y'all some feed. I'll get you a bottle, Duck. Y'all settle down. Y'all settle down. Just find you a place at the table. Quit worrying about what your neighbors got, what you ain't got. Just find you a place. Hazel, what are you doing in the trough? No pushing, no shoving. What are you excited about over there? You ain't even eating. Y'all settle down. Y'all are good. Y'all are good. Hey, Trixie. That's one of our newest ones right there. See, these guys are doing good. They're settled in and eating. Duck, I'm gonna get your bottle, baby. Don't you worry. Hey, Trixie. How you doing, darling? Where's Peanut? Easy. Ultimately, I'm going to have a better way of feeding grain and sweet feed. This is just, I get a little unnerved. I'm afraid the little ones get stomped on sometimes, get pushed. There's just no reservation. There's no self-control that these guys have. There's Peanut. Peanut, you need to get out of there. Come here, baby. Get yours through the milk. Kit, just stand right there and eat, baby. There's no need in switching buckets. Y'all look at that brown one over there in the far side of the room. Jubilee. She just jumped right up in the trough. This one right here, coming toward me. With the white stockings, that's Gabby. Man, she's pretty. Y'all, gracious Gabby, what are you doing, girl? Whatever. Yeah, we'll have to come up with a better system. All right, Duck, I'm gonna go get your bottle, baby. I'll be right back.